Welcome. The first official episode of Alone Together, where we write, record, and release a new song every week. That's right, a brand new song every single week. The best part, we're hearing it for the first time live with you. How does that work? I know what you're thinking, right? How can we be hearing a song that we wrote for the first time? So this is where it gets really cool. So we wanted to create a project that was authentic to this unique time that we find ourselves in. Something that is of the time, but not about the time. We don't want to write songs about being alone. We're all together still. So we're producing these songs alone, but we're sending to each other and we're writing them together still. So here's how it works. Phil's sending me an idea. I'm getting it. He has only done a little bit of stuff on it. I add whatever I want. Phil doesn't hear what I add. I send it on to Benji. Benji adds whatever he wants. I don't hear at all what Benji adds. Benji's eventually going to send it to Taimir. We'll hear a little bit from Taimir in just a moment. Then he's going to send it on to Nate. Nate's going to add whatever he wants, and then he's going to mix it, and he'll be the only person who's totally heard it at this point. So we've not heard all of what everybody else has done until today in just a few minutes when we listen to it fresh with you. It's going to be really cool. I'm really excited. We did a trial of it last week. All of these songs are going to be available to our Patreon members, a little Patreon exclusive. But let's go ahead and bring in the boys and check in with them.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Sure enough.
So I'm going to start with a real quick, funny, would you rather question. So would you rather perform in a circus or an aquatic dance group? We'll go to Phil first.
That's easy. I don't like holding my breath, so I'm going circus. Circus all the way.
What would you be in the circus?
Probably the elephant.
How about
Spectacular.
You, Todd? Circus or an aquatic dance group?
Circus, because I don't like getting wet, so I'd rather stay dry. Also, I just like moving around, just so I can move around more in a circus, I think.
That's probably true. True.
Flips and all that.
Benji, what do you think?
I would be in the aquatic dance group because I like what happens when your toes get all wrinkly.
Ew.
Not an answer I ever thought I would hear in this. Not what I expected. How about you, Nate?
I'm also going to say aquatic dance group. I love to be at the pool and be in the water. Preferably a saltwater pool, but chlorine is fine. Whatever. I'm not picky. But I just...
He doesn't.
I think I had the better reason.
He doesn't discriminate in waters. That's awesome. I love it.
No.
I think I'd be in a circus, and I think I'd just see what I could do with this beard. If I had a job to do, and the job was a bearded man, I think I'd see what I could do with my beard.
Yeah.
I'd use it as an excuse. Yeah.
If you're already
I've
doing
been
it
waiting
for
for you
free,
to try something.
Yeah.
I like
your
it
beard.
as a sideshow. It's just world's beardest man. It's not like most bearded or anything.
I just want to
It's
get
like
with beard.
as
I
round as I
want a
can.
nice,
Just man with beard.
circular handlebar mustache, something with some twirlies on the end. Like
right.
you should.
I would want to braid my mustache down into the beard, like when the
even
braid.
better.
Ah.
Holy crap! Yeah.
Honestly, that's
wow.
cute. Let's never do this. Okay.
No, I've got plans.
So this week we did a song called "In My Own Way." Phil sent it to me, and I started working on it earlier this week. I sent it on to Benji. Benji sent it on to Nate. Nate sent it on to us. So Nate's the only one who's heard it all the way through now. So in the count of three, we're all going to listen to it with you for the first time ever. So I'm going to count us in, and then Phil's going to start it. 3, 2, 1.
I got so used to lonely. When you came along, it just felt wrong. Love felt wrong. If I don't say I love you, it's not because of you. If I don't say I need you, there's nothing you can do. Just promise you'll be honest. Promise that I will be too. I'm standing in my own way. You don't know how much I want your touch. I'm trying in my own way to say your love is enough. Touch me, I pulled away because I knew you'd stay. Don't be so afraid. If I don't say I love you, it's not because of you. If I don't say I need you, there's nothing you can do. Just promise you'll be honest. Promise that I will be too. I'm standing my own way. Don't know how much I want your touch. I'm trying my own way to say your love is enough.
Going back in.
Oh shoot!
Let's do all boys.
Woohoo!
Ooh.
Wow.
Nate, what were you just saying?
I said that piano part that you put in the second pre-chorus was 10 out of 10. Love that.
So
Like,
Phil,
oh, man.
Phil actually only sent one verse, one pre-chorus, one chorus,
Yeah.
and then I split the
Oh, no
verses up.
kidding.
One verse, pre-chorus,
Word.
chorus.
Yeah, it's
I
so
split
funny.
the verses up. He didn't even know that I did that. So that pre-chorus
Wait,
was actually
so where did that second verse come in? Or so when
it was like a
you
double long verse.
It was a double long. It was the same length as.
Oh.
It was the same length as Except the Roses, the one we did as a pilot, because I thought
Sure.
let's keep it the same. But then y'all done switched it on me.
That's right.
No, I think
I
it
dig it.
worked.
That was
So
tight.
if y'all are
Sounds
just
good.
tuning in, we will play the song again at the end. So stick around. We're going to go ahead and start talking about some of the production and the things that went into it. And then we're going to play the song again at the end. But for right now, I want to cue in on just you, Taimir. Laser focus. I want to hear your thoughts. You've never even heard a little bit of this song.
I know. I've never heard any of it.
So what's your reaction? First time ever, brand new Brook Royal song. What do you think?
Yeah, I thought it was great. Yeah, there were a lot of like subtleties that I was really into. Like, I like how like busy and kind of like integral to the song, like the synth line was in the back, like, and all the little like piano touches and everything. The guitar licks were sick. I really liked it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Good. Awesome. Yeah, I love what you're saying because that's what I'm starting to already notice. Like even just 2 songs in, what I'm starting to notice is that when you have a bunch of people all working on production and all being totally unfiltered, everybody's adding something. And so we have all these like subtleties to it that sometimes some of our other songs didn't necessarily have because like we'd predominantly have, us all working in the studio all at the same time. And so somebody's ideas might not end up in the song, whereas now everybody's getting something in the song and it's adding all these like really nice subtleties. It's awesome. I love it.
I'm really into it.
Thanks, man. That's awesome. Very cool. Okay. So the song all started with Philip. Philip sent me the song first, so I want to go ahead and kick it over to Phil, bring him in. We're going to chat about what he sent me and what he was expecting from this song. So playing in the background right now is what Phil sent me, just those parts.
Yeah, but what's funny is we've now found that by the time it got to Nate, it actually had a totally different structure. So this is even a little bit different than what I sent you. But the Bones, I wanted to do like a song we would have done on one of our earlier EPs or one of our first album maybe, but really kind of more like the thick of it. I brought some of the synths that I hadn't used in a while, and also recorded a really lo-fi piano because I wanted to change the dynamic. Like I wanted the vocals to sound really warm, but also the piano to sound really distant. But it was like much shorter. It was just a riff, verse, pre-chorus. This is the chorus, and then back to a riff, and then out. Then you guys made it like a 3-minute song.
Yeah, that's right. It was like 90 seconds when I got it. So wait, you said you did a lo-fi piano. Tell me about that. How'd you do that?
Yeah, so instead of recording with all my fancy equipment, I just did it intentionally on my phone through the Voice Memos app, which you can hear right there. Yeah, I just played, and it wasn't like an easy production. I had to bring my computer downstairs and set up everything, and then just record it through the headphones so that I could make sure I was like getting it in time. But I did it intentionally that way. It wasn't an accident, so it was fun. I think what I didn't expect was for it to take such a down tempo. I thought it was going to be more like a driving, like do the whole time, but it kind of had like a Billie Eilish vibe for the first minute.
Yeah. And it has that pitch shifted, like delayed part.
Yeah.
So that brings me to my points, which is my drum parts that I added to this. So, I only added drums to the song, but I added like a lot of drums to the song, and I also changed the structure. So as I said, I split up the song. Originally it was like one long verse at the beginning that kind of had a few different dynamic changes, and I went ahead and took that and I split it down the middle, and I split it up and made 2 verses at different points in the song. And then Phil said he kind of likes to give us some references when we're writing songs. We said I'm kind of feeling something maybe Killers-y with this, and I love that idea, but when I was starting to play with like Killer style rhythms, I wasn't finding anything that quite hit what I was expecting, what I thought would work. And so I ended up doing this really down tempo, kind of almost a double time, like really slow rhythm right off the bat, with a lot of like the big snare swells and stuff to add a lot of drive. And then just a tambourine, no cymbals at all in the chorus. And I loved it. I'm really excited about that. And it's just totally different. So I sent it to Benji, and Benji only said one thing to me about the production this week. He said, can I do whatever I want? Did you like try to follow the Killers thing, or can I do whatever I want? So I'm going to bring Benji in. I want to see what he said. So I can tell now that I know exactly.
Yeah.
The word that I'm thinking is fuzz.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
so
correct.
So go ahead. Let's talk about what you did.
Basically, like when I first heard the song, like I'm totally honest. My first thought was like, oh yeah, I'll knock this out in like this will be great. I can knock this out in an hour. It'll be fine. And everything I started trying just was not clicking with me. I was like, maybe I'll kind of head more in the direction that was in the notes, and that didn't like ring in my ears. Like everything I was coming up with felt wrong, and like I was just kind of like getting super stressed about all of it, and I totally switched up my entire approach to how I record songs. Usually I try to do like either a clean guitar or like a dirty guitar that's just barely pushed into dirty. And I usually use the guitars with like very like quiet pickups, just so that it's not like a quiet sound, but I'm letting the guitar kind of speak really naturally through it. And I went really the other way. I brought out this guitar, which is my loudest sounding guitar I have, and I plugged into my grossest, nastiest fuzz pedal, and I tuned my guitar down to B, which, if you know anything about guitars, that's like where metal players tune their guitars for intense, like, deep riffs.
That's awesome.
So it was, and I can definitely tell, like, by the end result, it ended up being like a great jumping off point. I was definitely, like, mainly, like, trying to, by the end, like, the thing I finally felt, like, good with and comfortable with was finding a tech. I ended up, like, being like, I don't need to try to do a lead part. I don't need to try to have, like, a sick riff or anything like this. I just need to have something that's going to fill out the space in a much, in a fairly effective way. And for me, the most effective way to do that is to take the guitar and make the signal as big as possible and take up as much space as possible, and then just let, Nate worry about carving out my sound later in the process.
That's a great way to do it, that as big as you can get, and then just, like, let the mix engineer figure out how it fits into the actual mix itself. But
Yeah,
Nate
exactly.
could go as big with it as he wanted. And you can tell that that's a huge tone, that, like, fuzz that comes in right off the bat. That's awesome.
The heaviest tone I've put into a Brooke Royal song ever, period. And
that's awesome.
That was a cool thing to hear.
I love it. Okay, awesome. Okay, let's go ahead and bring in Nate. I want to hear what he added to the song, because I don't know yet. I don't know what he put in. Let's go ahead and hear Nate.
How's it going? So, basically, Benji sent me a text and was like, so this is what I did with the guitars. I hope it works. So basically I at first I was, I got all the tracks. I was like, okay, there's, like, a clear idea of, like, which way this song is supposed to go. And then Benji sent me his tracks, and I was like, okay, I don't know.
What am I going to do?
Yeah. What am I going to do with this? But so then I started trying to add guitar parts, and I was like, man, Benji really went the only way, like, possible with this. So as he said, so basically everything he sent me, I just, like, combined all of it into one really spectacular take. Fuzzy, heavy, massive, low, and his guitar is the one that's, like, right up the center. And then so I actually added two other guitar parts.
Okay.
That live so I did the same thing that Benji did, where I detuned my guitar all the way down to B. And that's the guitar living on the left side, in the panning.
Yeah.
And then
it's playing right now, so you guys might be hearing some of this at home.
Sure. Yeah. So that's living on the left side of in the left speaker, and then the guitar that I just kept in E and, like, pretty much did, everything I put in that guitar, I was able to add a couple of, like, cool little like lead things. That's all living in the right side, right speaker.
Yeah.
And so it was nice because Benji like clearly defined the only thing that was, like, possible for guitars in this song. I kind of did the same thing where I was like, oh, I'm gonna try some, like, Killersy stuff, and kind of, like, pushed, overdriven a little bit, but, like, not a lot, and it just, like, wasn't happening. So I kind of, like, followed in Benji's footsteps, and, like, added on a lot to that.
I love it.
So
go ahead and tell me.
Sound is really, like, a combined effort.
Yeah, That's awesome. Okay, so you and I could talk production all day. We could talk mixing all day. So let's go ahead and just tell me the coolest thing you did in the mix with this.
The coolest thing I did in the mix, probably.
First of all, it sounds great, by the way. Sounds awesome. Yeah.
There wasn't anything, like, super crazy that I did with the. I didn't do any, like, mix bus compression. Like, I didn't. I don't know. I haven't been doing that lately. Like, I won't use a mix bus compressor on the entire song itself.
Gotcha.
And that's been super fun. So
so it keeps, so for people at home, it keeps it like real wide, really dynamic. It has like as opposed to being kind of squash is what it's called, with like a narrow dynamic range. It's really dynamic, so the hits are really punchy. It just has a different feel. That's awesome. Okay.
For sure.
So if you're just tuning in, we're going to play the song again one more time in just a minute. We may release a song at some point, but right now this is going to be a Patreon exclusive. I love this song. I'm stoked to hear the final product. It is so different than when I sent it in. When Phil first sent it to me, it was very similar to kind of early Broke Royals stuff. A lot of synths. I added a bunch of drums because that's what I do. So our early sound is very synth and drums with like whatever Phil and I could cobble together guitar-wise. And staying on to Benji brought in this totally different sound. So I'm excited about this song. In just a minute, we're going to listen to it one more time. It will be available for all of our Patreons. All of our Alone Together songs are going to be available for Patreon members. But before we go today, I want to bring Philip back in, and I want to hear a little bit about what the inspiration for the song was.
Hello. Well, the inspiration for the song was tied very much with the sound of the song. I thought it would be fun for the first week to do something that was really OG Broke Royals, really traditional Broke Royals. And so I kind of built it in the way that you and I were building songs in 2017, like a long time ago. And I tried to write a story that I'd been thinking about that was like kind of intimate and followed one character and was a little bit, it just wasn't working with a really big epic sounding song in my mind. Because sonically it was going one way and lyrically I was kind of pulling it in another direction, and I felt the tension there. So then I tried to rewrite it as something that was more anthemic. I thought of like, what would The Cure write, or what would, Aha, like other great like synth 80s bands. And when I started that, it really flowered, like the lyrics really came together, and I really enjoyed the percussion of the percussive nature of the pre-chorus. I thought was fun and almost like a little bit of a, not a lullaby, but like almost like a nursery rhyme. It had sort of like a childish quality, which can be something that you want to stray from. But like in this project, I feel like I have the freedom to indulge something that I might not have done in like a proper Broke Royal song, but then at the end of the day, like it just sounds fun and like kind of has a great hook, so it ended up being an extra pop element that, you know, even though it sounds a little bit like a nursery rhyme, I think it fits, and all the things that you guys built on top of it are awesome. And we have a question from our gang from the comments, which we want to encourage, so I'll answer that question for Philip. What's it like hearing your song taken in a totally new direction? Personally, sometimes I'm really awed by how my band can develop my song, but other times I'm really attached to my own vision of a song. Chase, thank you. Great question from Berlin. And I will say that is sort of, that is a fear that I've had myself, but I think beauty of this project is that I am learning to let go and learning how to write for a more collaborative process. And I'm really stoked about how it came out, and I think by taking the leap of like allowing myself to do that, it's been rewarding so far, so that's awesome. And I not to spoil it or tease it too much, but next week's gonna blow your pants off, I think. So I'm really excited for that. Like it's fun to think about, okay, I wrote a bass line, but what if I take this out and let them write a bass line instead? And it so far has been really exciting, and that's been a cool part of it.
I'm stoked.
Yeah.
So we got a lot coming up next week. So I've actually already started working on this song because we also now have to get tie-in. And next Wednesday, we're going to be performing a live stream for Culture Fix. So follow Culture Fix on Facebook. We'll be live streaming over there, doing a full band performance on a big old sound stage. So we'll be 10 feet apart. And let's go and bring all the boys back in, and we're going to play that song out for you one more time. See if you can hear all these things that we've talked about earlier. If you're a Patreon member, look out. We'll be uploading this to the Patreon later today. See you all next week, 4 p.m. on Friday. 4 p.m. next Friday. And Phil's going to go ahead and cue up the song to play us out one more time.
And we're rolling in 3, 2, 1.
I got so used to lonely. When you came along, it just felt wrong. Love felt wrong. If I don't say I love you, it's not because of you. If I don't say I need you, there's nothing you can do. Just promise you'll be honest. Promise that I will be too. I'm standing in my own way. You don't know how much I want your touch. I'm trying in my own way. Say your love is enough. Touch me, I pulled away because I knew you'd stay. I'm so afraid. If I don't say I love you, it's not because of you. If I don't say I need you, there's nothing you can do. Just promise you'll be honest. Promise that I will be too. I'm standing my own way. Don't know how much I want your touch. I'm trying my own way. Say your love